Welcome everyone to the third Martian Tomato podcast. I am Marley or Mars Bars.
I am Brennan, also known as Tomato.
And this podcast is not going to be as eventful, unfortunately, as our podcast last week. Obviously, if you missed our podcast last week, I guess you all got a live reaction of Brennan and I's reaction to the Snyder cut, the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League coming to HBO Max. I'm pretty sure, like, there hasn't really been a whole lot of news coming out lately in terms of DC related news.
Yeah, not much at all this week.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot lately, and I don't expect anything to come out today. So, yeah, we'll just jump right into it. So, before we start, make sure to go check out our Instagram, which is Galactic Arrowverse Hub. There we post mainly DC stuff, but we also post a lot of Star Wars stuff too, as the name suggests, Galactic Airverse Hub. So yeah, go check us out on Instagram. Anyways, jumping right into the podcast. So I first want to discuss yesterday's episode of Stargirl. So Brennan, what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, I really enjoyed this episode, and I'm really enjoying Stargirl so far because it's not like other of the CW shows. It's like Courtney's or Stargirl is like actually trying to learn how to use the staff with like all the other DC TV shows are like they kind of knew how they use the powers kind of right off the bat. So
Yeah,
on this latest episode, I really enjoyed it. Really liking Courtney and her stepfather Pat like kind of getting along and trying to get like the team back together sort of thing and trying to capture all the anti villains or villains of
like the
this time
Injustice Society.
in
Yeah,
Justice Society. Yeah, so I think this episode was good mostly. Like I enjoyed all of it. I think Stargirl is just going to get better from here. I think so.
yeah.
Like
I kind of like the scenes between the Courtney and what was the guy's name?
Pat,
Pat. Yeah,
yeah,
I
with
actually really like those
Ricky.
scenes between those two because
Yeah, I realize.
you have them
Uh,
you have like Pat being like the overprotective dad or the overprotective parent, but Courtney is just trying to prove herself worthy of the staff and whatnot. And I mean, it's typical. It's like your typical parent and then child, or not parent and then son or daughter relationship, where the parent like knew someone that was close to them. They died, and like their mantle is passed on to like a younger generation, and like they're overprotective. They don't want to do that. It's a very typical trope that's being used in like lots of superhero media nowadays. Well, not lots, but like a considerable amount of superhero media nowadays. Whenever there's like a mentor figure or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty It's nothing too special, but I like the scenes between Pat and Courtney because they actually feel like a genuine father daughter relationship, even though they're like obviously stepdaughter and stepfather and stuff like that.
yeah,
Uh,
I really
yeah,
enjoyed
they feel
those two.
genuine.
Yeah, they
Yeah, it's
feel
not like the
genuine.
rest of the episode doesn't feel genuine. I did like the suspense between Brainwave and Stargirl. I like the
Yeah,
suspensefulness. That
yeah.
one
So
scene where he threatens his mom or her mom. That was pretty. That
yeah,
was pretty good too.
yeah, that felt really good, and I really enjoyed their fight scene between Pat, Stargirl, and obviously Brainwave.
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed that. Do we know what happened to Brave Wave, or was I not paying attention?
Well, I guess he's just hospitalized for now. I don't think they
Oh,
killed
okay.
him. I really don't see them being killed,
Yeah.
like him getting killed off. I mean, that's gonna be a really weird move. Like even I was like kind of like weirded out by that. Like I
I
highly
thought he
thought that
died.
he's actually.
I'm like, oh my god, she killed some man, but I guess
Yeah.
it didn't
I
really
mean, yeah,
feel
she's
like
still
that.
learning. She's still learning this like how to control the staff and whatnot.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, but I like the tone of it. It's more lighthearted. It's something. It's what I thought. I think super. Like I know we're only 2 episodes in, but I really do
Yeah,
think that this is what Supergirl should have been at the start.
yeah, I
Because
get what
like
you mean.
it has its dark moments, but at the same time it balances out with all the like. But like when it gets dark, it gets really dark. Like the interrogation scene between Brainwave and Courtney, that was
Yeah,
intense.
that was
We
really
didn't really get a lot of that like in the first couple of seasons of Supergirl. With Supergirl, it was all lightheartedness, and when they try to have a very serious scene, they just like it's just like way over the top. Like the whole like I remember at the start of season 2 when Superman was being kind of like what was it possessed by some I can't remember which kryptonite that he was being possessed
Red
by. I think it was
Kryptonite,
red.
I think.
Yeah, red
Yeah, Red
kryptonite. Yeah,
Kryptonite.
and he hallucinated like General Zod. It's like okay, that's a little over the top, and also it's really over the top for Superman to be to be beaten by Supergirl in a fight.
Yeah, bro.
Like I feel like the Stargirl like so far like I know I like it like I said we're only 2 episodes in. I really do feel like that this is what should have been like the opening seasons of Supergirl and whatnot because like this is really like it has a good balance between like in the tones of like I guess like setting and whatnot. I do like when it gets intense, it gets really intense, but at the same time, it doesn't it doesn't overshadow some of the other lighthearted moments. Like when I think of like the breakfast scene in like the last episode of Stargirl.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. I mean, it wasn't extremely funny, but it was kind of funny. I they kind of have a little chuckle in that when I saw that scene. So
Yes.
I do like that it balances out. It's not too serious, but it's not too over the top funny.
Yeah,
That's
I
something.
think.
So,
All right,
all
go
right,
on.
sorry, let me just finish. I feel like the CW show because this isn't an original CW show. This is actually like a DC Universe show. I feel like the CW should take notes from this, because like most of the CW shows nowadays are like over the top or comedic and whatnot.
Mhm.
Not over the top, but like they're either like lighthearted, over the top, or very comedic. Um, I just have a problem with with the lighthearted stuff. Like when I take a look at the Flash, like the Flash it was lighthearted, but like at the same time, it struggled to like balance out between the dark, like the more darker tone episodes and whatnot. Because like
Yeah,
when it gets darker tone, it just goes like all out dark tone. It's not like it doesn't try to balance itself out and whatnot. And when it does, it just fails. That's one of the reasons. Another reason why I just like the Flash in like the last couple of years has been struggling because it's trying to find its footing, even though the show already established itself in the first 3 seasons. And like
yeah,
this show already knows what it wants to be.
yeah. I was gonna kind of elaborate on that. I think like Stargirl. I compare Stargirl to Legends. I feel like a lot because it's similar in multiple ways. I feel like at the beginning of Legends, it was like Stargirl right now. It was
Yeah,
more kind of like it was like yeah, it had humor and it knew when to get dark when it got dark, obviously. And I agree with you that like for the shows to take notes on like that. Like I like it when it's more like when it's serious, it's serious. I like it more when it's funny. Like I don't want it to be like need to
like
like
one side extreme and the other side like other side.
yeah
I just don't like extremes being taken. I like a good balance because if there's extremes being taken and it just ruins the pacing because like you can have one scene that's like super intense and then the next scene is just like oh it's just like they're at like like I don't know like they're in like a dinner table and whatnot like and just eating whatever just like some random scene. I don't like
mm,
that. It's another reason why I just I have a that's one of the biggest problems with Black Lightning too because it's a more darker tone show, but
yeah
like when it's like the really dark like because I haven't finished watching Black Lightning. I'm still in the middle of season 2, but I remember
mm,
the second story arc or the second episode arc, which is like between like the those like the two babies and whatnot. And you have like those like superhuman like I forget what they're called, like the Sanjay and the I forgot the other ones, but like
mm,
with those like the fight scenes and like the scenes involving the babies they were like really intense like they're like basically like
yeah
thriller type of shows like it's something
yeah
you see from like
exactly
a thriller show
yeah
but then once it cuts away from that specific scene or from those specific scenes it just cuts to like just something random happening in like Freeland. It's like okay this is like so boring it ruins pacing it's like and so the reason and I do like how like when it came to that interrogation scene from last night's episode, yeah, it was
mm,
really intense, but once we were out of that scene, like once Courtney went back into the gym to try and find Pat,
yeah
like it gradually decreased like in terms of tone. Like yeah, it was still pretty intense because they just had an intense meeting. We just saw in a very intense
yeah
meeting. But like it's gradually decreasing in terms of intense because after that she goes find Pat and then Pat leaves the gym. They leave like that open house event, and then like they're back at home and they discuss like, hey, like like Pat's like, hey, I should be the one doing this. Like you shouldn't be like like he has like that kind of talk where like I need to protect you and whatnot. That's good. I like that because that's a gradual decrease in terms of tone and pacing. I don't like how it's like it goes from super intense to super like just like boring and like nothing like calmness. Like that's not how you control the tone of a story, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that a lot of DC shows nowadays are like they're they have a problem like when they try to incorporate that in their episodes or in like just the overall season. I just feel like they have problems trying to balance that out. I feel like Supergirl's real like in terms of like the season only. I feel like Supergirl's the only good show, or not the only show. What I mean, but the only show that can balance out the tone. But like, the story
Yeah.
still wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Uh, but like, I'm not saying that like every show needs to balance out its tone. I mean, if a show wants to be completely dark, then by all means do that. Like Batwoman was more of a
Yeah.
darker show. I liked how they handled the tone and the pacing. Well, I like how they handled the pacing in the second half of the season, like after Crisis
Yeah.
on Infinite Earths. But when you look at shows like The Flash, it just has a problem. It just does not know how to like transition from one scene to another. It feels so like janky. Like I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it to you. The best way I can describe it to you is like the transition from the first half of The Flash season 6 to the second half of The Flash season 6, because the first half was like very dark involving blood work. But then
Yeah.
with the transition to the second half, it just struggled. And I feel like, yeah, season 6 completely summarizes how that show handles its like tone and like pacing and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like they need to know what they want to go with first. Like I I want, like, for example, Batwoman. Like when we think of Batman, you don't think of like laughy jokey stuff. You think of like
Yeah.
down to earth and whatnot. Like I just want they need to know what they're going into. Like Batwoman is more dark. And I like it if I like and I kinda like in between, but at the same time, like I don't want Batwoman making jokes. Like you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. I
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
want
like she can
Batwoman to
like
be
crack a
funny.
joke every now and then, but it's not going to be like a common occurrence. Like she's not Spider Man. Like, let's just like
Yeah,
get that out there. She's not Spider Man who's constantly cracking jokes and whatnot. Like no,
yeah,
yeah, every now and then they probably like crack a joke, but like that's going to be like a basically a rarity, like once in every like full moon, like basically. Uh, so yeah, it's
yeah,
what I so I do like how Stargirl so far is handling the pacing and the tone
yeah.
of the show. Uh,
They're not
it,
like
it-
oh here, I'm just want to say this. I like how they're not like cramming a bunch of stuff into
yeah,
like the first two episodes. Like, like they're taking it slow and putting stuff in it like one at a time,
yeah,
which I feel like some of the other DC TV shows kind of like crammed a bunch of stuff in right at the beginning and then didn't really care mostly about the ending. I
yeah.
think.
It's slow paced so far. It's slow paced in terms of like narrative, like narratively speaking. It's slow paced, but it's not too slow paced. Like obviously we did have like that fight scene where like Stargirl like basically is like, hey, I'm Stargirl and whatnot. Um,
Mhm.
that was I was gonna say it's fast paced, but like it was a little bit on the fast paced side when you compare it to all the other scenes of the show, and I found that to be okay because like it wasn't rushed. Like what I
Yeah.
do like about the two episodes so far is that they're not rushed. It's not like a majority of the season premieres of this season of like the CW shows. Like I'd say like almost every single season premiere of like both not just CW DC, but in terms of other DC shows as well,
Mhm.
like Titans, like including Titans, like Titans, Catwoman, Supergirl, The Flash. I think Legends is exclusion, but like I think those shows, like in terms of their season premieres for 2019 or 2020, they have been like really fast paced. Like
Yeah.
you take a look at Titans, like you take a look at the season finale for Titans, the Titan
Oh
or
my
not
god.
season finale, season premiere, the season two premiere for Titans. It crams in what was supposed to be the season one finale, and then it's like two episodes crammed into one, and I really didn't
Yeah.
like that. but like the problem with Titans is that like it's a completely dark show. Like there's no like it tries to balance itself out. Like I feel like when
Yeah.
they included Bruce Wayne in
Yeah.
that show, they tried to make him more of a comedic character, which I get the fact that like Bruce is that billionaire playboy, but this is an older Bruce Wayne, and he's not
Yeah.
supposed to. Still not supposed to, like he actually he's supposed to be a very charming person, but like here he's like full of wit and like sass, and that's not really Bruce. And they so like
Yeah.
and I guess like that's the show's way of balancing out all the depressing scenes because like without what if season two of Titans didn't have Bruce Wayne, the show would be like full out depressing. I mean, it's already a very depressing season,
Yeah.
but
It
like
definitely is.
without Bruce Wayne, he's basically the last like saving grace for that show not to become into like a full like depression fest.
Yeah. At that.
And yeah, and again, like I said, I think all the other DC shows, including Titans, should take notes from Stargirl, and in terms of
Yeah.
how they handle their, in terms of how they handle their tone and whatnot,
Yeah.
because it's a perfect balance. I'm not saying again, like I said, I'm not saying that every show should have a perfect balance. I'm just trying, but like this show already knows what it wants to be, you know,
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
and even like shows like Titans. Like I guess like they're trying to be more like emo and edgy, but like they're
Yeah.
failing at that department. They're
Yeah.
failing at every other department in terms of how they want to handle like the setting and the tone of their story. So like that show I should think should take notes from Stargirl, even though we're only
Yeah.
two episodes in.
Yeah. I
I
was about to
already said
say like we're only 2 episodes in. Like this stuff can change in like the next couple episodes or
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah, but like
they're
so
doing a
far these
great
two
job.
episodes, they're like higher like it's more it's more thought out
Yeah.
than 2 seasons worth of Titan. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I don't know, like I'm so disappointed by that show because like that's also a DC Universe show. But you
Yeah.
have Stargirl, which is like, oh my goodness, it's like it's so like it's so like well thought out and already knows what it wants to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Speaking of
Yeah.
shows that already know what it wants to be, let's take a look at Legends episode yesterday.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thoughts on that?
Um. This might be a very weird thing for me to say, but I didn't really enjoy this episode.
Oh
Um,
really?
I don't know why. I get it; it was cool. They like ripped off Friends, like Downtown Abbey, and like Star Trek and whatnot. Like they were in those shows sort of thing. But I don't know. I feel like this episode wasn't really needed, sort of thing. I feel like they could have did something different there.
hmm
So,
Well, I think do you remember do you remember that one episode in season 2 where the Legion of Doom got the Spear of Destiny and they were able to change reality?
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, I think this is basically like it's basically that. This episode, yeah, it was all right. I did like how basically reality now was changed to like 1984. Like
yeah.
the whole like dictatorship, like the 1984 dystopian novel. I do like that. I do like that touch.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, the episode was all right. I did the one scene that really stood out to me was the scene between John or Constantine and
Oh,
Astra. That
yeah.
was
That
like
was a very good
when
scene.
they were like just like when they're deciding whether or not they should like stay in like the TV show because they have Astra has her mother back. I thought that was a really good scene.
Yeah, I
Although
agree. I
the
like that
payoff
scene a
was
lot.
kind of weird because like I mean like I get the fact that they should probably be in the finale, but like at the same time, I mean like it's not this isn't really reality as what it should like that scene was so conclusive because it was like yeah, throughout the entire season, all that Asha wants is to bring back her
Yeah,
mother, but she has her mother now, but she is only in the
yeah,
show. But so it's like they have that very touching moment. Constantine's like, "Hey, if you want to stay here, I'll stay here with you. Like all I want for you is to be happy."
yeah,
I think I thought, and then when they decided that they were going to stay, I legit thought that they're actually going to like stay there forever. Like
yeah,
they're not going to like leave.
yeah.
Because
I
that
thought,
would have been the right move. That would have been the right move. Not saying that the move that they made now is complete horrible. It's
yeah,
like I would have preferred them actually stay in the show. Although, like when you think about it, the show itself is not really in the same like reality because like reality has been changed, right? Um,
yeah,
so it's like yeah, obviously they would that would eventually be like erased from like
Yeah,
current reality and whatnot. But I like that scene. I just kind of wish it's one of those things where I kind of wish it wasn't a good scene, so I wouldn't care enough because like that
yeah.
scene was so good. That was like what that was the best scene in the entire episode. And now like I guess like the payoff is kind of like, oh well, it's not bad. It's not a bad payoff or anything like that. It's just like I would have preferred for them to have a different ending. You know,
Yeah,
them to actually stay there forever. You know.
yeah. I mean, the Zarya Nate thing was kind of cool, where they brought
Yeah.
like both of them back, sort of thing.
That
But
that's
I
kind of
don't.
weird. Do you think? Okay.
Yeah,
Do you think that you think that they're gonna keep both of those Zaris after the season?
I feel like that would be kind of weird, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But
But to be fair, anything's possible with the show.
I was about to say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept both Zaris, and then like the sister, whatever that one is gonna
Yeah.
maybe fall in love with Constantine, and then the other one will obviously be with Nate.
Do you
So,
think like do you want to have both Zaris back or do you want to have one Zari back? Like only just one?
um, me, I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see them both. To be completely honest, I think it would be kind of cool if just even for a couple episodes of them just like talking or sort of thing, like talking about like I don't know, ends of being superhero-ish or legends or whatever. I think it would be kind of
Yeah.
cool. Maybe sister would more understand what the other one had to go through or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think it would be
I
kind of
think
cool if they had them both together. Yeah.
for me, I think how I'd want it was like either I'd want them both of them to stay, but like the old Zari to be like kind of like a mentor figure,
Yeah, that's what I was
or
thinking.
only one of them to stay. And if I was to have one of them only to stay, I'd probably have the new Zari because the
Yeah,
old
I think
Zari there's
so
not much.
too.
Just like yeah, here's the thing. I do prefer the old Zari better because like she's gone through a lot and like her character was actually really interesting in like seasons 3, 4, yeah 3 and 4. But like like there's not much that she can do. There isn't like really anything like she like the whole like the whole goal for the old Zari was to bring back her brother, right? And then like, she
Yeah,
kind of accepted like, well, that'll never happen. But like now that since her older brother, like since her brother's back, there's like no reason for her to like be around, you know.
yeah,
Although it
exactly.
does suck, like I would want her to stay, but it's just
Yeah,
that because I do prefer her over the new Zari because the new Zari,
yeah,
I mean, she's all right, but like the
yeah.
new
She's alright.
Like the old Zari is just more interesting. She's a more interesting character.
Yeah,
Obviously, like the new Zari, we haven't really got a lot of oh, we got quite a bit of character development, but like the new Zari, like or the old Zari, sorry, um, like there's just it was just more it's more of an intriguing character, but like at the
yeah,
same time, I like if you were to keep one Zari, I just keep the new one because like the old one, like they've already completed the story arc.
yeah.
Like
Exactly. That's
so
what
it's
I was
like
about to
there's
say.
really
They're
no
like,
like yeah, it's really there's like really no point to keep them around. It's kind of the same thing with like John Constantine. Like
yeah,
as much as I love John's character or John
yeah.
Constantine's character, I just don't think he should stay after the season. You know,
Yeah. I don't think he'll stay. I mean, if he stays, then
I
whatever.
mean that's
I
cool.
guess. Yeah, but like, I don't think he should stay either. I think Constantine, like, he's my favorite character on Legends, so I
Mhm.
think he should leave and do his own thing or whatever he was doing before.
Yeah.
Maybe if he gets what's her name's mother's back and then just does nothing really. Like, I
Mhm.
mean,
It's kind of the same thing with Cisco in the Flash. It's like
yeah,
he's literally just there just for tech support. Like he's already gone through like every single story arc possible, and
yeah,
it's like, well, he finally found like his like his soulmate, I guess. Even okay,
yeah.
they still have to rescue them like from the mirrorverse, but like
Oh yeah, yeah,
once they get over that, I feel like there's nothing else that like Cisco needs to do. Like because it's already confirmed that Chester's going to be returning next season. You know, Chester,
yeah,
the other tech guy. So I feel
yeah.
like
And
he
I
should be the new Cisco because like just, again, like I said, Cisco has already like completed his story arc. Like
yeah,
once he like saves Camilla from the Mirrorverse, like there's nothing
he'll be
else for
done.
him to do. You know.
I think he'll. I think and that I think that will happen. And I think he'll realize like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm sick of like putting people I love in danger and whatnot.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think he'll like leave and maybe just back like every couple episodes or something like that, not like all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, would you want to have any legends leave? Like any personal personal thoughts of like what who you think should stay and should leave next
Um.
season for in terms of
For,
legends?
I
Because like
think.
they definitely need like let me just finish. They definitely need like a personal person like they just like change like their team because like there's been some characters that just haven't been doing anything. The same thing goes with the
Yeah.
flat with Team Flash, but like we're just gonna be focused on the Legends for now. Are there any characters on Legends that you would like to see go or like stay?
Um. I think main ones should say is obviously Sarah. I think Mick is another one that I also say, and Sarah's
Mick?
girlfriend. Yeah, Mick. I think Mick should stay because they're still pushing his end of his character with his daughter, and maybe that's another segue for him getting out, maybe, and maybe
Yeah.
becoming a full time dad, maybe in the future,
Hmm.
something like that. I mean Constantine and what's the shapeshifter's name called?
Charlie.
I think those and the girl and the other girl that's trying to save her mother, I forget her name already. I think those three make sense to leave. I don't think it will make sense for any of them to stay. I
Here's the
guess.
thing. I just have a sinking suspicion that in the season finale, which is by the way next week. Next week is the season finale for Legends,
Yeah.
season 5. I
Yeah.
just have a feeling that like Charlie's gonna die.
Oh,
I just
okay,
have
that
that
makes
sinking suspicion that Charlie's just gonna die. I don't know. That's just like an instinct for me. Like when it comes to like a
sense.
season finale and like when a character puts himself in danger, like in like real danger, like to the point
Yeah.
where like they're basically like undercover. I feel like that they are gonna die. Like I feel like that
Yeah,
character
I
is
get
gonna
that.
die no matter what. Especially since like the show needs to shed some weight in terms of characters. So
Yeah, there is a decent amount of creatures on
yeah, I
that
wouldn't
show.
be
So.
surprised if Charlie dies.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I guess that would make sense. So yeah, yeah, and this episode of Legends, I didn't. I mean, it's okay. I enjoy it, but it was still a good episode in a whole. But I just didn't really enjoy it that much, to be completely honest. I feel like they could have did
hmm
something a little different
yeah.
because it was like yeah, they're stuck in
It
a
was
TV
nothing too
show, and now
special, I
they're
would say.
yeah, I was just about to say, and now next they're just gonna go fight the sisters or whatever, and it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, so that was just kind of pointless then. I get it, like
Mhm.
you had to save them or whatever, but
Yeah, it was more or
that
less
was
just a
weird.
fun episode, but I guess like I mean it is to set up the finale because
Yeah,
like the villains I guess do have to win sorta for before the heroes can come back and whatnot. I know it's a typical like formula being used by the CWDC shows where the
yeah,
villain wins and then like a couple episodes like or one episode later the heroes end up like saving the day and whatnot.
yeah,
You know. But yeah, overall, this episode there was nothing too special about it. It was all right. I mean, it's not like it wasn't outstanding compared to some of the other episodes. Like it wasn't like yeah, sure, there are little like laughs every now and then, but like it wasn't like really outstanding except for that one scene. But like it wasn't like not it was like nothing compared to like some of like I think like Nate's fine like not Nate I think of Ray's scene, like last episode on the show. I feel like
yeah,
that was a really outstanding episode. I like that a lot.
yeah.
So yeah, speaking of legends, I was gonna bring up the topic of well, not topic, but yeah, I guess like more of like speculation. So, what do you think the tone, like not tone, but what do you think like the theme of Legends next year is gonna be? Because like
Oh
for the
my
I'd say the
god.
past like or the past 2.5 years, like Legends has like been mostly centered around like magic.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think like the Legends is gonna be next season? Do you think they're gonna go back to straight up time travel, or like they're gonna like take on something else? Like
I just have a bad feeling it's going to go straight back to Magic or something like that, or like maybe I don't know what else they could do. Like I think we've talked about this a little bit in the podcast before. Like I don't know, like time travel, what they're gonna do because the only reason the timeline was messed up is because there was different characters that were demons or whatever that had like super powers or had a super weapon was because of magic. So I think unfortunately they're gonna have to try to stick with magic or they're gonna have to pull something out of the bag or something where they fight like a really main villain that's
yeah.
like traveling throughout time in a different spaceship or something like that.
Yeah, I really want the show. I want the show to go more sci-fi. Like it was supposed to like the show was supposed to be a more like not comedic, but it was supposed to be like kind of like the DC's version of Doctor Who. And it
Yeah,
did start off that way in the first 2, 3 seasons. But like the third season was really pushing it because like the third season it brought in like the totem poles and whatnot, which was like it was more mystique. It was more like a not mystique, like it's more like mystic type of theme. And then
yeah,
season 4 was like demons and whatnot. It was and like season 5
yeah.
went to like straight up like oh we're fighting people from hell and whatnot.
I
I don't
mean,
know. It's really weird.
I think season two is the only one that really didn't involve much magic, if that makes sense.
No,
Well, it
two
kind
and
of did.
one, two and
Yeah,
one were the only one. Like the 2 and 1 were straight up time travel, which I really kind of miss that now because like yeah, like still time travel, like no doubt about that. But like at the same time, it's also like it also like the magic has like overshadowed what the whole point of the show was, which is supposed to be like a very like sci-fi adventure. Again, like I said, like Legends of Tomorrow is supposed to be DC's version of Doctor Who, and I really wish it
yeah,
stayed that way. Not gonna lie, like, look, season 3 was all right. I did think in some parts of season, not. I think like season 3, in my opinion, is just an underrated season. A lot of people don't really like that season, but for me,
yeah,
I think it was the last best season of Legends. Like, I think with this season of Legends, it's more comedic, and I do like how they handle the comedy. It's not like it's not like blow your brains out stupid comedy. It's actually like there's some funny parts, and yeah, there's some over the top parts, but for the most part, it's actually kind of funny. Like they
yeah,
definitely learned their lesson from season 4 because season 4 like just tried to be a completely different beast. By
yeah.
like trying because they had like a lot of musical numbers in season 4 as well
Mhm.
as they had a lot of like they tried to just like it was basically forced comedy when you think of
Yeah,
that way.
exactly.
But like season 5, the comedy actually works, and like so far we've really only had like one musical number, which is like, look, I just don't want it to be like shoved down my throat like last season, because like the musical numbers in last season were like, well, they were like, I don't know, like they really weren't that good and all that. So like,
Yeah,
it was mainly for the fact that like they just overused it and whatnot. So they went to the point where it's just like, yeah, I'm just sick of season 4. I just like how like again, like I said, I like how season 5 was able to like learn from their mistakes, learn from the mistakes of
yeah,
the previous season, and actually like be good.
yeah. Like it's yeah. I don't know with Legends. I don't know what they can do. I mean, they can probably think of something, but obviously, they're probably just gonna go straight back to Magic. Like I
I,
said again, like
I feel
I
like
don't know
for
what else
me,
they can do.
I feel like for me, like, see, DCTV next year is going to be very nostalgic because, like, what I want, because, okay, so let's take a look at what can happen next year. So, most likely for Supergirl next year, Lex Luthor is going to be the main villain. Like, the Luthors are going to
Yeah,
be the main villains. I actually want that to happen, but like, I feel like after next season, that's it. We're not dealing with the Luthors anymore because the Luthors are a
yeah,
Superman villain.
yeah,
They've
yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
overstayed their welcome in Supergirl, but I'm not complaining because like I do like Lex Luthor. He's
Yeah,
really
Lex
well.
Luthor.
I think after next season, that's it. Done. We're done with
Yeah,
Lex Luthor. So like,
yeah,
yeah. So I guess we're good. Like next season for Supergirl is gonna be very classic, and I feel like it'll be like a classic Superman and Lex Luthor rivalry. Although I think this time it's gonna be Supergirl and Lex Luthor.
yeah,
Um, Next season of The Flash, hopefully they bring back a speedster villain. It seems like they are going to bring back a speedster
yeah,
villain because I feel like because Eobard still out there. I feel like
yeah,
he's going to be like possessing someone's body. I really want again, like I said like I said in last week's podcast, the original ending for The Flash season 6 or the original finale was going to have Eobard take over Bloodwork's body and have him become Red Death.
yeah,
I want something similar to that to happen. Either that or we just have like Godspeed be the main villain.
yeah.
So that's
Which
gonna
I
be very
think,
nostalgic too, because like obviously like we haven't had a speedster villain in a very long time.
yeah, I think, I think it's going to be Godspeed. I think maybe they'll hold Eobard Thawne maybe for a different season after they beat Godspeed or something like that. I think they'll do something like that maybe. Where
Or yeah, Eobard will take over someone's body or something like that. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe I feel
exactly.
like he might take over one of the Godspeeds. Actually, I'm not too sure.
That would
Um,
be kind of cool if they did something like that.
yeah, Batwoman season 2, we have like no idea except for like the fact that we're gonna get Thomas Elliot as Bruce Wayne. So like
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
good.
guess like we don't really know much about next season of Batwoman, concerning the fact that they're still looking for someone to replace Ruby Rose. And
Yeah,
Legends again, I'm just hoping that Legends goes back to sci-fi. There's hints of it. I think there's like hints of it going around the internet where it might go back to sci-fi or time travel, which is I'm just praying that happens because I'm
yeah,
done with magic stuff. You know,
yeah,
I feel like for now because like I don't know, like the CW just like seems so detached from like its fans, except for the Legends fans, because like they actually
yeah,
listen to like and learn from their mistakes. But like I feel like overall they just are so detached. Like the writers are so detached from like what worked that it's
yeah,
like I was like they're experimenting too much. Like the Flash, they've experimented too like enough with non-speedster villains, and I get the fact that you can always have a speedster villain, but
yeah,
like they need to do something to like kind of like revitalize the Flash because like the Flash show because like it's been really boring. Like the blood Rush stuff was fine. The cicada stuff, it was all right. I did like the backstories though, but I didn't actually like the full out like season five of the Flash had or yeah, season five had potential. It just was ruined because like some characters like well, Nora wasn't completely terrible, but it's just that like yeah, there's just some stuff that ruined season five, like the full like just like the overall story of the season in general, and season four, I don't know, season four, I thought like thinking about it now, season four was like all right, it was like nothing too special, but like seasons one through three, those were like more like intense seasons. Like those like stuff happened.
yeah,
Like I mean, I get the fact that it was still building the world of the Arrowverse, but at the same time, the villains were
yeah,
very compelling. I really like that, because it actually had me invested in watching the show more. Like I
yeah,
wanted more
exactly.
after each episode, and I feel like I feel like if they bring that type of like vibe back to the shows, I feel like it can be really successful
Yeah,
again. Just find that
yeah,
moment. So like, because again, like I said, it's been pretty boring.
yeah. Like I mean, like I get what you're saying. Like you can't have a speedster for like every villain season, but like even if they did something like that, then people are gonna complain. What about like different types
Non-speedster
of
villains.
villains?
Yeah, people were
Yeah,
complaining about like after season three, people were complaining that like okay, we should stop with the speedster villains, and they
yeah,
did. But like, if I don't know, yeah, like DeVoe, there was nothing too special about him, so it's like I don't know. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm just hoping that every DC show does something more nostalgic, except for like Batwoman because the show that just started. Her name is Stargirl.
The Batwoman show is getting good. Is getting good. So I'm super excited to see like hopefully we get news about someone being
Yeah,
casted or
someone being
someone gets a
casted. Yeah,
role or because if I really don't want that show to end, that would be very disappointing. I don't think the show will end, but
yeah.
I'm just saying if we
Well, they can't end it with a huge cliff because there's been a huge cliffhanger at the end of
yeah that is
the
true.
finale. So it would be really bad to end to like not actually finish that.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah, I'm
really
just hoping that all the other shows like actually like I'm not gonna say like go full out nostalgic. I like I'm not like a nostalgia rider or anything like that, but I just hope they do something somewhat nostalgic because like I think all the shows need revitalization except for Legends because like I feel like Legends is good. I feel like it just need to like go back to time travel in terms of the
yeah.
nostalgic parts. They just need to go back to time travel because like it. I just like I can't
I
deal with the
think
magic anymore. The magic's kind of been a little overkill.
I think maybe with Legends, like after they beat this, maybe they're just like, okay, guys, I'm kind of sick of you guys. So I'm just gonna go on my own. Maybe they take like a couple year break or something where they cut to something and maybe something big happens or whatever. I think that would be kind of cool if they like took a break from each other and not like
Oh
gave
yeah.
like freaking timelines and whatnot.
I mean, well, Legends. I mean, they could try and do it, but considering the fact that like Legends isn't going to be part of any crossover
Yeah,
like next season, yeah, next year because like next year the super crossover is going to be between Superman and Lewis and Batwoman. So yeah, like,
yeah,
no, it doesn't seem like any. I mean, I feel like it's good because like all the other shows are kind of busy right now. So like
yeah.
I kind of feel like
I'm kind of curious what they're gonna do with that. To be completely honest, I don't know who could be the villain that Batwoman and Superman has to deal with, sort of
yeah,
thing. Yeah, it'll be weird.
yeah. It was, and another thing is I just I just would like. Do you think that like okay, one thing I want to discuss was actually it kind of relate to Batwoman. Going like go actually, I mean we just keep going back to Batwoman.
Yeah.
But do you think that like in when they're casting the next Kate Kane, how do you think they're gonna go with that process? Do you think that they're gonna go straight like just straight up with a good actress or like someone who actually can resemble Ruby Rose?
I think it has to be someone that's like Ruby Rose. Like, you can't just get a random woman because she's a good actor. I mean, you have to be a decent actor to play a superhero, I think. So I feel like yes, he has to be similar to her in some ways. Not like looks wise. I couldn't care less about looks because most of the time we see her with her mask on, mask off, I should say.
Yeah,
So I think I think it just needs to be a person that's really good at what she does. Really, I don't like. I couldn't care about looks. Like I said again, I just think they need to be good at what they do and play the role as the role has to be played.
yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And like yeah, I feel like the same thing. Like I can fully agree with that as well. Although like, do you think that like when you watch Batwoman next season, do you think that like you're gonna like it just doesn't feel right to you to the point where like
Oh,
whenever you watch the
definitely.
show,
Yeah,
like you
sorry.
want to elaborate more on that?
Yeah, like when I said like it's going to be different because we got the first season of Batwoman and then we're getting a media change of the main character. So it's going to be different. Like we're going to act the same, obviously, in the show, sort of thing. But it's going to take some taking time too. It's not going to be like snap my fingers. Oh yeah, totally forgot about the Ruby Rose, like sort of thing. I'm going to have. It's going to take some time. I'm not gonna. Like, I have to give her a couple episodes, and then maybe halfway through the season, I'll be like, oh yeah, she's definitely the better Batwoman, or something like that. We'll just have to see. That's all.
All right. And um, do you think that do you think that the show would benefit from the crossover at all with Superman and Lewis, or do you think it's just there just because like it just needs to like it just needs to get like more exposure, like straight up more exposure? Like, do you think that the show could benefit anything more besides just more views from the crossover?
I think it can benefit in many ways. Maybe it's sort of like a thing where it's Superman instead of Superman v Batman, it's Superman v Batwoman sort of thing. Like they get into altercations, and maybe like Batwoman proves like, yeah, I'm no slouch. I can beat Superman. Like maybe not beat Superman. Maybe they just like in a confrontation and like Batwoman could beat Superman. Maybe it would be like, yeah, Batwoman's no slouch when it comes to like fighting sort of thing. I think it would help Batwoman a lot because Superman's one of the main DC characters in movies and the shows. Obviously, it's one of the main ones besides Batman. Like, I just hope. I just want to see what they do with it. I'm just curious, like who could be the villain. Like honestly, like I can't think of like any villain they can bring in that would be like powerful enough to stop Superman, unless they like bring like Lex and like I don't know some one other
Bruce
Batwoman
Wayne, you know, yeah.
or Bruce Wayne together, and they're like fighting those two or something. That would be kind of cool.
Like
So
if it like could possess Bruce Wayne, I think, yeah.
yeah, that would be kind of cool, sort of thing. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I think it would help Batwoman because I feel like the Superman show is going to do very well because a lot of people like Superman. So we'll have to see.
Hmm.
We will have to see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just hoping that like because like, I don't think much is gonna come out of this crossover event except for maybe like a big like a villain that we like is popular in the comics, but like you know we actually like for their first time in the shows. I feel like that's the only thing
Yeah,
that the crossover like we can get out of the crossover. You know, other than
yeah,
that, I'm not really expecting too much.
yeah. I'm not really expecting too much either. Or maybe they like time travel or something to another Earth or whatever. They can do something like that.
Yeah.
But
Oh
like,
yeah, that reminds me. When do you think the main heroes of Earth Prime are going to figure out that hey, there's a new multiverse. Like, when do you think that's going to happen?
that's tough. I feel like it would have to be during another crossover
Do you think that would
or
be like
something
like
like.
crossover like 2 2 years from now?
I really don't know because I don't feel like in a random episode of the Flash they're like, oh yeah, we have multiple Earths again, and we're just like, oh, you just found that out randomly. I feel like it has to be during a big event. Maybe Superman and Batwoman find out there's multiple Earths, and maybe they accidentally travel to Stargirl's Earth or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
And like,
Uh, there have been a lot of people are saying that like the Flash and Stargirl gonna cross over in a couple years, or like I guess like 2 years from now. I don't know how true this is. I mean this is just straight up a rumor.
yeah,
Would you like to see that come to fruition, or would you like to see a bigger crossover event to introduce the other shows, or
I
either that? Would you like to see like another like superhero besides the Flash, kind of introduce the rest of the like Stargirl and like Titans and whatnot to Earth Prime? Like, what would you like to see out of those options?
I think for to introduce Stargirl, I think it would be best if they did Supergirl. Because if you think about it, those two are kind of similar. I feel like if these two ever meet and they talk, I feel like Supergirl will be more of a mentor to Stargirl. Be like, yeah, women can be badass too. TFT do sort
Yeah,
of
and
thing.
how do you think they're going to introduce the other shows like Titans and Doom
Tight,
Patrol, and like especially like Green Lantern too as well because Green
yeah.
Lantern's also going to be there too.
Titans is gonna be weird because I feel like it has to be Batwoman. 'Cause every other person doesn't really make sense. I mean, you can maybe do Superman because Superboy and Superman are like, you know, I think it either has to be like Batwoman or Superman for that one. And Doom Patrol, I feel like you can just throw a random person in there, I guess, because I don't know. Really,
Do you
I
think
haven't
that like
watched
if
Doom
they were to
Patrol, so
introduce all these shows,
I feel like
that it would happen in like a bigger crossover event, like all like these guys like all these guys like meet up in like this one abandoned Earth or something like that, and they have to take down like this like let's say
I think
Darkseid somehow appears.
yeah, I
I
think it
don't know.
would have to be something like that because, or maybe like they cross paths and they like, oh, people wearing uniforms and have powers, you must be evil, and then like
Mm-hmm.
fight it out or something like that, and then to realize, oh, you're the good guys, and then the bad guys like, ha, you fools, and then like something like that would be kind of cool. I feel like it has to be crossover. I can't see it during just maybe a random, maybe like a season finale, like The Flash or something.
Yeah.
Accidentally runs to a different Earth, maybe, and then something like that. But I feel like it has to be a crossover. In my
Yeah.
opinion, I don't think it makes sense just to put it on a random episode.
I don't think we're gonna get a crossover like that for like another couple of years because we just had
Yeah,
Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's kind of the same thing with Endgame and Infinity War. We're not going to see something as big as like that for I'd say I'd give it another decade or half decade or something like that
yeah,
until we get something really big. I'd give it a decade. Until we
yeah,
get like a big meeting.
yeah, exactly.
Also, like so, like, would you like to see all the shows? Would you like to see shows like Titans and Two Patrol and Stargirl and the Green Lantern show all introduced at once, or would you like to see where like they go on like a journey and these like go through the different Earths and like, hey, this is like this show's here and this show's
I
there.
I feel like it would be way too much if they did it all at once. Like they all just teleport to one Earth sort of thing. I feel like that would be like way too much. I feel like I think they have to go through different Earths and introduce like them one at a time, sort of thing. Not like all at once, because if it's all at once, then that's a lot to take in, sort of thing.
Yeah,
So I think they'll probably do it like, well, maybe not one at a time, but like a couple maybe at a time, sort of
yeah,
thing.
for sure. Also, would you like to see Swamp Thing be revitalized? Like, would you like to see that show come back after its cancellation?
Absolutely, I think Swamp Thing is one of the coolest characters because it's kind of like Poison Ivy, but he's just pretty much swamp. So I think super excited to see like the TV show, and then I hope they bring it back. I hope they bring it back. I think it would be super cool if they
Yeah.
brought something like that back.
Yeah, the chances of that happening are kind of low, but like, I mean, the CW is airing it. I guess I'm pretty sure they're going to air it over the summer because there's not much to watch. Or actually, either
Yeah,
the summer or the fall because like the fall we're not really going to be getting any shows during the fall except for like in terms of DC shows. So we're not really getting any DC
yeah,
shows coming this fall. I think only like just the start of like 2021
yeah,
and or yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting to bring back the Swamp Thing. I feel like they should. Like, I'd also want it because, like, I also want that show to come back because I heard it was pretty good.
yeah.
Um, it just didn't really make any sense for the show to get canceled when like the show like it got canceled while it was still being aired, and like it was getting very good receptions, like very like positive receptions like left and right, you know. So it's like, you know, it's still to this day confuses some people why the show was canceled. I can't remember the exact reason why. Actually, I can, yeah, I can probably like look up why, but like it definitely still confuses people to this day as to why it was canceled. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't
it's
know why it
something
would
must
be
have happened on
weird.
like behind the scenes that got it canceled. Hold on. Okay, so I'm reading an article from the Hollywood Reporter. It says the network scrapped the series, which was produced by its then in-house studio, in a cost-saving move after execs were unimpressed with the pilot. After its surprising June 6th cancellation, Swamp Thing has become a case study in how a series gets axed in the peak TV era. Yeah, that's interesting because like it was like in its peak, which was like the first couple episodes, it was like getting like really good receptions. And yeah, like I said, the
Yeah,
people were saying that was the show's peak. Like I
yeah,
guess in its very short lifetime, you know, and got
yeah,
axed. Same thing with Krypton. Although Krypton, the show Krypton, I don't know if you've heard about it. It's basically like a Superman prequel show.
yeah,
That show also got axed as well. Like I think it was before season two. I can't exactly remember. I think there's like two seasons to it. But yeah, the show also got canceled as well. Even though it wasn't a perfect show, it was an amazing show, but like it was still a show that was pretty intriguing. You know, so
yeah,
you know it's. I mean, I don't know. I think when it comes to those shows, I think they're all like. I just read that it was like cost saving, you know, whatnot. I think it's because like they want to save the funding for like some other bigger
yeah,
projects too, as well. Like, because um, at the time, I didn't think they knew that something was going to be in the Arrowverse, but now it's in the Arrowverse. I mean, it's cool that it exists. I think it's Earth
yeah,
19 now. That
yeah,
but like, I here's the thing. I just it like do you think I just for me it doesn't make any sense to introduce it in the Arrowverse when it's already done. Now I understand that like
yeah,
Tim Burton Batman's universe is in like it's in the Arrowverse multiverse, right?
yeah,
But like okay, we already know that there's nothing going to be continuing off of that. Same thing with like the
yeah,
Christopher Reeve Superman universe. You know that like we already like concluded all of that. You know, in the movies and
yeah,
whatnot, and I give a proper conclusion in the crossover event. But for
yeah, but
like, but when you look at Swamp Thing, it only had one season, and it doesn't really make any sense to introduce something as small as that in the Arrowverse. Now, I understand that they introduced the old Birds of Prey show, but that show has been long gone. Like that show
yeah,
has like been long, like finished a long time ago. So like,
yeah,
and
exactly.
it wasn't a big show. It was like I think it was like a micro series, like kind of similar to the old Star Wars, the Clone Wars series.
Yeah,
But it like through like the reason why it was introduced there is because like I mean like they already finished its story. Swamp Thing, I mean, I guess you could say it's finished its story, but like it got
yeah,
canceled. It's finished with like against its will, you know. So it's like for me, like this is just me being an optimist. I think that like when they introduced Swamp Thing in the like that montage at the end of Crisis Part 5, I
yeah,
think that was and like especially since the CW picked up that show just to air the first season, I feel like that's a hint of positive things to come for that show. Maybe we might get a second season. Hopefully we do. Hopefully, like you know, we hopefully the CW fully takes it over. Like if people are watching it, I feel like if people watch it enough, like if people are
yeah,
like getting the views that it or getting like if the show gets the revenue that the CW was not expecting, from that like you know from like the reruns that they're going to air later
yeah,
this year, I feel like that they might consider actually like you know picking that show up and like actually like continuing it because like again like I said it was a huge letdown for that show to get canceled even in the middle of like its like first like airing, you know, when it was
yeah,
first airing the show still got canceled regardless. So you know it's very
yeah,
strange, but hopefully like again like I said it's just complete optimism.
yeah,
Hopefully that's not like when like it was added to the Arrowverse. Hopefully that meant that like it was going to be continued, like its story was
yeah,
going to be continued like that. You know, because like again, like I said, you're not going to add something to an already bigger project if it's super small. Like when you compare Swamp Thing to some of the other like DC content or DC media that was added into the Arrowverse, like the Tim Burton Batman show, like obviously that
Yeah.
show is a classic, right? But you can add something like that because it's pretty popular. Meanwhile, Swamp Thing, yeah, it's still popular, but it's also like relatively small compared to the other types of like shows and movies that were added into the Arrowverse. So it's like
Yeah. I was about to
it's
say, like, when it comes to like that, I feel like they're just putting. I don't think it's canceled forever. I think they were just gonna put it on the back burn now because they have a lot of shows coming up. So I don't
yeah.
feel like maybe in the future we'll get more seasons of something because there's still like I want the Arrow and the Canaries to get picked up. I'm assuming it will eventually.
Yeah, there
Um,
aren't any signs of it being canceled. So I mean, for now it looks like it's on the positive side. It looks like it's gonna get picked up.
yeah, and then obviously you have the Green Lantern, so you have the Superman show with what's her face coming up. We have a lot
Yeah.
of TV shows coming up, and that's I mean, like obviously probably the CW has a bunch of people, but I feel like you need to make it so you don't have so many shows. And the Blue Beetle show is another one that's coming out as well.
Oh
So
yeah, that one too. Yeah.
and
There also is another live action show which not a lot of people watch. I haven't even watched it yet, but I am planning on watching it. It's actually a show called Pennyworth. It's
mm,
basically it follows a young Alfred Pennyworth, the future butler of Bruce Wayne.
yeah,
Um, it just follows him as I think a British intelligence agent, somewhere on. I think something like that. Either that, or I think he's like just like gun for hire. Back when he was a really young person, really young man. So
yeah,
um, yeah, they have that, but I mean, when you compare that to the other DC shows, it's really not that popular.
yeah,
But like,
exactly.
yeah, it's like for now, like, there's a lot of new DC shows coming out. I don't see why like they wouldn't bring back Swamp Thing. Obviously, it takes more than that. Like obviously, like I'm just oversimplifying things. Like obviously, like behind the scenes, there's a lot more paperwork and a lot more
Yeah,
production stuff that goes behind actually revitalizing a show. Like you realize that like bringing back the Clone Wars show because like the Clone Wars show got canceled after season 6, or I guess season 5, and then it got picked up by Netflix for season 6.
mm,
But like for season 7, like a lot of people don't realize the amount of trouble that Lucasfilm had to go through to get that show back up and running. Like
yeah,
no one realized like the amount of trouble that Dave Filoni had to go through in order to like bring that show back. Because it's not that simple. It's not like, hey, just I'll flip the switch and all of a sudden the show's back on air. Like obviously there's
yeah,
more stuff behind the scenes that like obviously that most of us don't really know about because it involves like the politics behind each show and like the politics of Warner Brothers and the politics of CW and all the other studios like DC Universe Studios and all that stuff.
yeah,
Like obviously there's more behind it, but like I just don't see why it would hurt them when it
yeah,
got like
exactly.
when you look at a show when you look at a show like Swamp Thing that has gotten such positive reception and compare it to like Titans, where yeah, Titans still gets like a decent amount of positive reception, but at the same time, it has a large portion of people, excuse me, who don't really like that show. I'm
Yeah,
one of those people. I've been very vocal over social media as to why I think Titans is so overrated as a show because because people look at the shows like, oh, cool costumes. Oh, we got a live action like a Nightwing and the Deathstroke suit so much better than the Deathstroke suit in Arrow, right?
yeah,
But it's like like that's just Flash. Like that show is literally just Flash over fire, you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
and it's more style over substance. Um, but like when you look at a show like Swamp Thing, it's kind of the opposite, and like yet that show still got axed, and like the higher ups at Warner Brothers were not like happy, I guess, by the reception, which is
Yeah,
kind of
which
confuses
weird.
me because like you like there's actually still a large portion of people on who are complaining over Titan season 2, like yeah, Titan season 2 and just Titans as a
Yeah,
show in general. Like a lot of people are saying that it's a huge letdown from the OG Teen Titans animated show, and even then
yeah,
a lot of people would even say that they would rather watch the childish Teen Titans Go show
yeah,
than the live action Titans show, which is supposed to be
yeah,
built for like the show was supposed to be made for like I guess young adults and well straight up adults as well. You
yeah.
know,
I was just about to say when it comes to like Swamp Thing, I'm just thinking about it. Like how much story can they do? Like I don't know. Well, obviously I haven't seen the first season of it, so
And
I
neither
don't
have I.
know.
I haven't been
Yeah,
watching it. I don't usually want to watch that show illegally. I don't really
yeah,
watch shows illegally. I just like find it like until it's like actually officially released and whatnot. But yeah, go on.
yeah.
Sorry.
I was just like, kind of saying like, what stories can they do? Like I don't know much about Swamp Thing, but obviously like what I get from it, he's like he wants to protect the swamp. So
Hmm.
like I don't know what story wise, like are they gonna put a villain that can like poison swamps and make them into like evil
Well, I
trees or
think
something?
it's just more or less that like it just didn't get the chance that it got. Like, yeah, sure, it still aired its first season, but like I think it was cut short. It was cut short way too early.
Yeah,
I think that's like people just like it wasn't given the proper chance it deserved.
yeah,
So I think that's why, like, yeah, I agree. I agree completely with that opinion or that idea. Because like,
yeah,
yeah, it got canceled in the middle of airing its first season. When
yeah,
like most of the post production for all the episodes were done. So it was a really confusing move. I mean, like, again, maybe like there's just more behind the scenes that we know of,
yeah,
like, which would
exactly.
probably make more sense. I'm not going to sit here and say that like, oh, it's a stupid move, like just straight up a stupid move. Oh, Warner
Yeah,
Brothers
we
doesn't know what
don't
they're
know
doing.
much what
Because
happened
like
behind.
they probably do. It's just that like they're not giving the details as to why. You know.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
anyways, that will be our podcast for this week. Thank you for stopping by, and stay tuned for next week. See you then.
Have a good day, people.